ladies and gentlemen. This is the channel about how to immigrate to Canada under Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. This is Huang, and today we are going to discuss what is AIPP program and how it works, requirements, and what to prepare before you get the job offer. So let's get started. What is it? The Atlantic Immigration Pilot is a fast-track immigration program that allows employers in Canada's 4 Atlantic provinces, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, to hire foreign nationals for the jobs they haven't been able to fill locally. The program was introduced in 2017. The federal government and its provincial government partners aim to welcome more than 7,000 newcomers and their families to the Atlantic Canada region by 2021. The pilot program allows designated local employers to identify, recruit, and retain global talents. The program also has the goals of supporting population growth, developing a skilled workforce, and increasing employment rates in the region. So, how does this program works? Once a designated employer finds a candidate who meets their employment needs and the program criteria, the employer will need to offer them a job. Employers do not need to go through the process of obtaining LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment. Once the candidate has accepted the job, the employer will connect the candidate with a designated settlement service provider organization for a needs assessment and to develop a settlement plan. Employers will also support the long-term integration of the new immigrants and their families if applicable, so they can reach the goals of their settlement plan once they arrive to Canada. Employers that need to fill a job vacancy quickly will have access to a temporary work permit so that the candidate and his or her family can come to Canada as soon as possible. So, what are the requirements for this program? The Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program has 2 programs for skilled workers, Atlantic High Skilled Program and Atlantic Intermediate Skilled Program, and 1 program for the international student graduates, which is Atlantic International Graduate Program. So let's go into the table of requirements and let's check and see in more details what are the requirements for the job. So first of all, you must have a job offer that is from a designated employer in an Atlantic province, again, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, or Prince Edward Island. The job offer has to be non-seasonal and reviewed by the province. Your job offer doesn't need to be in the same occupation as your past work experience. However, you need to meet employment requirements for the job you are offered. And about experience, the work must be in one occupation. It has to be paid. Volunteering or unpaid internship do not count. At skill level 0, A, B, or C of the National Occupational Classification or NOC. The experience can begin from inside or outside Canada. The worker must have worked at least 1 year within the last 3 years. It can be full-time, non-continuous, or part-time as long as it adds up to 1,600 hours. For the international graduates, they don't need to have any work experience. So let's move on to the educational part. So you must have a Canadian secondary, at least secondary or high school diploma or higher, or you need an Educational Credential Assessment Report or ECA to make sure it's valid and equal to a Canadian credential. The report must show your education is equal to a completed Canadian at least secondary or high school diploma and higher. Your ECA must be less than 5 years old when you apply. For the international graduates, there are some differences, such as it has to be a minimum 2-year degree diploma certificate from a recognized publicly funded institution in an Atlantic province. Being a full-time student in Canada for at least 2 years, graduated in the last 12 months when you apply, lived in one of the Atlantic provinces for at least 16 months in the last 2 years before you graduate, and must have the visa or permit needed to work, study, or train in Canada. The language. You must have at least level 4 in Canadian language benchmark in English or the Niveau de compétence linguistique canadien in French, and take an approved language test that shows you must meet the level for speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Your results must be less than 2 years old when you apply. So, what is CLB4 in English? I've made the research, and there is the information given on the web that CLB4 equals to IELTS: listening 4.5, reading 3.5, writing 4.0, speaking 4.0. And finally, when you get all this information, so before the job offer, what do you have to prepare to be ready? So, getting these documents can help you apply faster when you have a job offer. First, language. As we previously said, it was IELTS, CLB, at least CLB 4. You must take a language test and send the results with your application. You must do this even if you studied in Canada. Education. The ECA report. If you studied outside Canada, you'll need an educational credential assessment report. This shows how your education compares to a Canadian one. And the last one, but not the least one, proof of funds. You will need to show that you have enough money to support yourself and your family after you immigrate. The amount you need depends on the size of your family and includes family members you support that are not immigrating with you. You don't need to show proof if you are already living and working in Canada with a valid work permit. So what are the funds required to have? If you're single and going to work alone, so you just need 3,167 Canadian dollars in your bank account. If you're a family of 2, so you'll need at least 3,943 Canadian dollars, and etc. So this was the introduction to the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. In the next video, I will be showing you how to find a job, how to get a job offer, how to apply for the job, and how in the future, how to prepare the CV, resume, and cover letter. Thank you very much. It was the channel How to Immigrate to Canada under Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. There was Juan, and I'll see you in the next video.